I looked at the little peephole, because I always do that, like in case it's a bigger boy. And it was two middle-aged ladies. Okay. And I thought, what's this? So I opened the door and I knew straight away it was people who wanted to talk about their church. Okay. I'm not going to name them. I don't know what the name of the church was. But as I opened the door, the opening gambit that the lady who was leading the conversation had was mind-blowingly effective at drawing me into a conversation.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
I opened the door, and before I'd said anything, she went, I wonder if you can help me. I'm just looking at this. So I've got my phone there. She went, I'm just looking at that's a picture of my son. No. She goes, I'm just looking at this website. And I'm wondering, it actually says something really interesting in here. It says, why is there so much hate? And before I could sort of think about it, I'd looked at the website on her phone. And then you can't. And then it was about why there's so much hate and a conversation about that. And as she was talking, now I've got no interest in a conversation about that. However, I don't want to be rude to people in any way. They're knocking on my door. They want to talk about something that's important to them. It's not a problem. But the whole time they were talking, I was thinking, what a smart way of engaging me. So rather than saying something to me or at me, she immediately made it sideways and went, have you seen this? There's a website here. It's got something really interesting in it. And it engaged me for that little second. And it just made me think, do you know what? That is a very effective opening to a situation that's quite a lot of resistance. You're going to meet a lot of resistance. People want to shut the door. They don't want to talk to you about that. Immediately, you're intruding on their life, as all advertising does. So to just tweak it round the corner, so to speak, and sort of get me to look at something else was very, very smart.
I mean, it's got a lot of things, hasn't it? It's opening the loop. So you kind of, what is that? I need to know that. But it does more than that. It does it in a way that is inclusive. It's immediately the we thing that we talk about, rather than you or an I or whatever. It's you're already in the conversation, whether you like it or not, which is very effective in that sense. But yeah, it's a nice little gambit. I guess you do that in a kind of long copy traditional promo. It's a look at this picture kind of thing, isn't it? Is the way you'd express it in that. It's that in real life. Take a look at this, and you're like, oh, what I liked about it, I don't know if it's how she would have said it, but that I'm looking at this. Also, it's active. You're in the moment. So as well as being an open loop, as well as including the reader or viewer or audience, it's also active. I'm looking at this now. Like, it's not a take a look at this old picture or something. It's like this thing it's happening now, which is why it makes it more engaging.
There's another couple of layers to it as well, I think, psychologically, because one, it was kind of a command dressed up. I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
And once you've obeyed the command, but the command wasn't like I'm going to make you rich. It didn't have a lot of resistance. It was just very subtle. And I looked. Now, psychologically, people want to be consistent with their prior behaviors. So to look at it and then say, I'm not interested in that is really, really difficult because you've just looked at it. It's got nothing to do with them now. You have to be consistent with your own prior behaviors. It's you want to be. That's why marketing often tries to get you to say yes to a small thing and then a bigger thing and then a bigger thing, because you're trying to create a sense of psychological consistency. But you've got this far and you're interested in this, aren't you? Well, why else are you here? And so as soon as we were there, I thought it was very, very smart. I only gave them I talked to them for 5 minutes, and I got into, I wouldn't say an argument, but they said to me, the headline on the thing said, why is there so much hate in the world? And I foolishly said, because you keep going around knocking on people's doors talking about it, which I didn't mean in an aggressive way, but I meant like, if there's too much hate in the world, try to ignore the hate, focus on all the good stuff. But you're like, have you seen this? There's lots of hate in the world. That's a separate thing. I thought it was very, very effective. Really genius, I would say. Genius marketing.
It's clever. It's clever. It's clever. Of course, they were also dressed as dinosaurs, which you've not mentioned, which was my way of linking to the copy that we've got. But I realised that it's about football, the copy, and I thought it wouldn't be very good if they were just dressed as David Beckham or something.
Do you know what? It's not Gareth. Gareth Southgate, I would have slammed the door in his face and said, "Get out of here."
Man, everybody's changing. We're changing Gareth Southgate. We're changing Joe Biden. Everything's changing. Anyway, we've got some copy. Shall we go into it? It is about football betting. It's from our friend who runs a business that we know about. It's a long copy promotion. It's a head and lead we're going to look at in this particular episode. I'm going to read out the headline. It's for a sports betting trading kind of service. So you sign up to receive tips. I'm going to read the eyebrow and headline and then the lead. And I'm going to explain what it looks like in case you are not watching this. So we've got an eyebrow, an extended eyebrow. It's in 3 parts. It says, "Are you sick of football tipsters who promise the world but only deliver loser after loser? We know the feeling. That's why our number 1 rated tipster puts his money where his mouth is." And the headline is, "You will make a profit from Adam Cheng's tips this football season, or you'll get your money back." And it says, "Fellow football bettor," this is the lead, "how has your football betting gone over the last few years? Some ups, some downs, and some in-betweens, I imagine. We've been working with professional football bettor Adam Cheng since February 2020, and this is how his football betting has gone." Then there's a little run of results. 2019-2020 season, profit. 2020-21 season, profit. Euro 21, profit. 21-22 season, profit. World Cup 22, profit. 22-23 season, profit. 23-24 season, profit. Euro 24, profit. Now, if you'd record, if your record is that, say that again.
I want someone to put what you just did there, saying the word profit, and remix it and put some sort of beat behind it. It was poetry.
If we ever get famous, like beyond the copywriting advertising world, the amount of like Cassette Boy or whatever remixes that you could do with like change with the crap that we've said over the years would be incredible. Anyway, just to round it off, you've got all your profits. It says, now if your record matches that, then fantastic. You probably don't need our help, so good on you. If not, then keep reading to find out how to join Adam for the new football season. And remember, if you sign up for the season today, the unthinkable happens, and this time he doesn't make a profit. There's a little thing. You can get full refund, no questions asked. And then it goes into the rest of the jive. What's your thoughts, Nick? Very direct, very track record based. Obviously, got a lot to shout for. What was your initial feeling and flavour of that?
I would say this is good, but falls into the trap of just being a sort of 7 out of 10. So it doesn't take many risks, and it doesn't necessarily raise the stakes to a massively high level. It's kind of, so that's not saying it's bad, but it's maybe safe. Now that may well be the brief, possibly. I don't work in this sector that much. I know a little bit about it. But I'd like to see, okay, you've got that version now. Fine. You know, you get money back if the bets don't win. That's basically what it says, isn't it? You know, is that are you going to run inside? God, you'll never believe what I've just heard. Or is it really going to move you emotionally? So I think you can keep the idea because it's all there. It's very clean. There's nothing else competing with it. But I'd say get weird with it. Like, how could you make that? We have this phrase that we use. You've got to risk being a 1 to get a 10. And this doesn't take any risks. It just goes for a 7. And there is value to that. But I'd go back to the copywriter and say, now shock me. What can you say that I'm going to have to rein you in? Get out there into that space that nobody is saying anything. Because I doubt you're the first person to say, hey, if you don't make money from this betting thing, we'll give you your money back. I think you're probably the 1,000th person to say that, maybe this year. I don't know. I would imagine it's pretty common. So I'd want a bit more risk, a bit creative risk.
Where would you? So and you're right. This is a kind of transactional. I know a little bit about this world because I used to work in it a lot, and I know how it's evolved to be very track record based. It's very that's how the kind of I'd say there's almost a what's the right phrasing of it? Like there's a kind of like an accepted canon within the industry almost that everyone said it's track record based, and therefore a lot of the copy is around that. And hey, if you win in profit after every season, what have you, that is great. That's what you're looking for from a transactional financial thing. That said, I also know that when it comes to the gambling industry, sports betting, there are other passions, there are other turn-ons, there are other desires, there are other psychological things happening in the mind of someone who bets. Now, there is obviously negative side. I'm just going to put that to the side for now because we're assuming our audience is being responsible about their betting and all that kind of stuff. If they are, why are you betting? Why do you gamble? Why do you do that stuff? It's not always just to win. It is to be involved in something. It is to get one up on the bookies. It is to be able to stand there in the Royal Ascot box, see that a horse is lifting its legs up higher when it's kind of trotting along to the thing, and know that that means it's going to be good to soft and all this kind of stuff. Being able to have that insider knowledge and that stuff, being able to see that in a game of football, I don't know, if Jack Grealish is on the pitch, he always pulls all the players away and gets fouls, so the yellow cards are going to be higher in that game. It's knowing this kind of stuff. So that is where you might be able to speak to the audience in a more specific, more emotional way. To that extent, do you have any suggestions? Where would your mind go, Nick, in that if you were brainstorming that this is a new football season? How would you tease out what might be shocking to a football bettor?
So I'm not the best person to answer that question, but I have a different answer to the same question. So I don't have enough specialized knowledge of why someone might buy this product, but the way I would start is just in the phrasing. Okay, so there's two things we can change, keep the idea the same. We could change the way we express it, or we could amplify the idea a little bit. So we could, for instance, we could change the offer. This is an offer lead. You could do, if your publisher would do it, that if they're really that serious, you could say, I'll do a double guarantee. So actually, I won't just refund you money. I'll give you double what you put back. I'll give you your money back and that again if we have a losing thing. So that's the risk on the publisher. But if the product's that good, so then you go down the route of like, this guarantee so good it could bankrupt me type thing. Most publishers actually don't want to do that, which tends to be a sign that they're, it's kind of a weak guarantee to begin with. But you can do that. Or you just do it in the phrasing, right? So what I do, if I'm stuck and I've got something that's too straight, I try and write the exact opposite of that line, because the opposite is usually the thing that nobody else has done. So the opposite to this would say something like, I will never, ever, ever give you a refund on this product. Not in a million years. And then you later explain it's because it's not because I'm not offering one. It's because I will never have to give it to you because he wins every year. You could really lean into that. Now, that's the same idea, just flipped on its head. So that's where I'd start. I'm just trying to bring some creative freshness to the language, just add a bit of punch. And that, I bet nobody's done that as a headline. That's why I like doing the opposite things, because I could guarantee you nobody's done that. Well, I can't. I don't know.
It speaks to the Roy Sutherland idea, doesn't it? Where it's like the opposite of a good idea is not necessarily a bad idea. It might just be another good idea. And in the sense that the opposite of so this is the headline is, you will make a profit from this guy's tips this football season, or you'll get your money back. The opposite of that is kind of like saying, I will never give you your money back on this. Like,
yes.
But that's still a good idea. That is an interesting thing. But you intuitively would think, oh no, saying the opposite of that would be negative, surely. And it's like, yeah, but that's still a good way of expressing that. So it's kind of in that space, but it's a really good way. You could almost go through every line of the lead and say, oh, what if I said the opposite? What if all of these claims, like, I don't know, I'm looking at, are you sick of football tipsters who promise the world but only deliver loser after loser? Like, you could just turn that around and say, I love terrible tipsters. I'll tell you why. Because it means that my tipster who wins over and over and over again stands out far better than everybody else, kind of thing. So all these ways, you can take every line almost as a thought exercise, as a creativity exercise, and go, right, what have I already got? Flip it. And you can do that with, I was taking a risk there, but like the first line, we've got 2 lines now where we've flipped it and we've got an interesting iteration of that idea. I'm not going to push our luck on that.
But it's really, really powerful technique that almost nobody seems to want to do, because it leads you to an uncomfortable place to begin with. God, how do I do that? So like when you said, are you sick? The phrase that came into my head was like, swallow your sick. I don't know how you use that, but like, I just know that once you know what your idea is, this is important, actually. This is a clean idea. There's no competing ideas. It adheres to the rule of 1. We know what it is, right? Get it straight first. You've got to do that. This copy already does that. Now we can have a bit of fun with it and sort of twist it around a little bit. You've got to try and find the thing nobody else has said. And the best place to start is the place that nobody would ever want to start. That's where all the free space is. That's where you're not just changing one word and it feels a little bit like such and such offer. So just always invert it and get out into that space, because that's where the ideas are. Oh, you're frozen. Glenfisher.
I lost you.
Froze there.
Carry on. You're not just changing one word.
Yeah, changing one word isn't that creative. Ultimately, it's still going to feel like an echo of an echo of an echo of other people's work. Change the whole thing. Get out to a space where nobody's looked, nobody is looking, nobody wants to look because it feels stupid. And just see, it won't give you the answer every time, but it will way more often than not. Like, just it's the classic thing in advertising. It's an industry full of people who claim to be creative and yet follow the herd. They just do the same thing as other people. And it's like, it's our job to take a risk and do something nobody ever would do. And you got way more chance.
So this comes back again, we may as well, slightly thematic. We need to get him on the show, really, don't we? But Roy Sutherland's book, Alchemy, if you haven't read that, it is one of the few that will probably make it onto the list of decent marketing books. But he, as well as talking about the opposite of a good idea, it can be another good idea. That was the one where I read and thought, that's a good way of explaining why there's so much mediocre copy in the world. And it's because when there is success, when a company has success, and once upon a time someone ran with this kind of headline and lead, and there was success, so you copy it and you do it again. But it would have come out of a world where there wasn't this kind of headline and lead. So the person who takes the risk is the one who ultimately wins the biggest prize. But then you get diminishing returns from that same thing. You say, I want it to look like that. I want it to look like that. I want it, do me one of them. Do me an advert like that. It happens not just in the direct response world. It happens in the branding world. Everybody wants the same. I want it, do me a version of that weird advert that everybody did, not realizing that the reason it was weird was the original thing that got it the success that it needed. And that someone who sat over here with a weird idea going, can we test this now, boss? And you go, no, we want to do what these have done. Their weird idea was really cool. We should do that. It's like, no, it's the fact that you had a weird idea, but no one wants to test that. They'd rather just take the diminishing returns version of the other one. That said, we know that in this particular industry, you've got the advantage that you can do a split test and you can send half an email to the other. So test it and try something different. Try something weird against the standard transactional one that you've got. There's nothing wrong with that because there's proof of that. But if you take the risk, that's where you have the greater potential for an actual breakthrough.
Also, just let somebody else worry about the diminishing returns. Well, it would be like diminishing returns. Okay, talking about return on investment, which is diminishing. That's the marketer's job, or that's the publisher's job, or somebody else with a spreadsheet. Somebody who knows how to do that stuff. That's a whole skill in itself. And there are people out there that are great at it, who know exactly how to optimize things and then run them until they work. Why else do you think there's, I don't know, how many Fast and Furious films are there? Do you think that's the right?
Not a lot. Not enough.
Someone with a spreadsheet knows we could do another one. Let them, fine. That's the brief then. But like, your job as the creative person is to put other stuff on the table and take a risk, because eventually that person that measures the return is going to measure it all the way down to zero effectively. And then they're going to go, what's the next thing? And then you're going to have to come up with it. That's you. That's why you earn the big money effectively, because you're the person that has the answer to that question, which is the most important question there is. So let other people worry about that. You try and push things. Both roles are important. I'm not sort of prioritizing one over the other. I just know, I know how it works. And I know it's called creative. It's the creative industry for that reason. Don't worry about the return on it in quite so. Let somebody else report that to you. In the meantime, you've got to take some risks. Get your straight one written if you want first. Okay, now write something that's really offensive. Like write an offensive headline. Like, this man could X, Y, Z, and you still wouldn't get a reef. You know what I mean? Just push yourself out there. I don't want to say have some fun with it. Good running, guys. But like, it's that part of the job that we're talking about.
Yeah, there you go. So I know Josh, if he's watching, will dig down on that. And there's options there to just go out and say the opposite. If you're in trouble, just say the opposite. And you'll get a free headline out of that. So there you go. We will dig down. Oh,
well, aren't we going to review the rest of that piece of copy, but we're just going to do it for Academy members on a Friday live call later in August? Is that our plan?
That is our plan. That's what we were going to say. I was going to say we're going to dig down into this copy a bit deeper. And because there's quite a lot of it and quite structured and it's kind of on point for most of it, we're going to do a little kind of masterclass digging down into this for our members only. So if you're interested in finding more out about that, make sure you join the accelerator, which there is a link at the end of this episode, or you can go to fixaccelerator.co.uk. Maybe we have a website.
It's all part of the journey. We don't make it easy. The main thing is it's not very expensive. £10 a month, about $12. It's a membership, but it's a negligible fee. You can get your copy reviewed on our live calls, which are every Friday, more or less, as many times as you want. So we review all sorts. A couple of weeks ago, what we were reviewing, it was to do with horny bed bugs, wasn't it? Ruining your holiday.
It was. It went that whole episode, that whole live call went a bit weird, didn't it? It was
just the way I like it.
You were embarrassed by bed bugs having more sex than you, or something like that. But that's where we got, and that's where we get every Friday into the realm of sexy bed bugs. But yeah. Anyway, we'll dig down on that. But otherwise, I think even if I do say so myself, a great tip that you can kind of apply to everything. If you are trying to hit the 10, get out of that kind of 7, 6, 7, 8 zone. You're trying to. Sometimes the easiest way is just say the opposite of what you're trying to say, even if it seems like everything's benefit-driven, positive thing. Saying the opposite negative thing might actually give you a much more original way in that other people aren't doing, and also aren't brave enough to even try. So that's going to set you aside. Nicholas Witchell, that is all for today. You are relieved. You may go and put your underpants back on.
Right. Cheers, mate. See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
If you enjoy The Fix and want to get access to even more good stuff, join the Fix Accelerator today. Get access to special masterclasses from Nick and me, watch expert interviews with industry legends, join live copy feedback sessions every week, and get connected to our very own private copy network. Visit thefixaccelerator.com for more information.